The Tatacoa Desert, a land where time seems to stand still and nature reveals its raw, untamed beauty. Here the sands whisper stories of ancient earth, and every turn feels like an exploration of another world. We started our journey at HQ in Bogota. There's always a sense of excitement before embarking on a journey into the unknown. Double checking gear, loading up our supplies, and making sure everything is adventure ready. We set out. First things first, fuel. We tanked up for the approximately 350-kilometer haul ahead of us. Getting out of Bogota is an adventure in itself. The city, even in the early hours, is alive. Chaotic, noisy, but vibrant. Once you break free from the traffic, the landscape opens up and you start to feel the pull of the road. Colombia's highways are stunning, with towering green mountains on all sides. It's a reminder of just how diverse this country is. Our plan was to make it to a town called Villa Vieja via the famous Puente Golondrinas, a bridge that would cross the Magdalena River between the Tolima and Huila regions. There was an alert from the authorities that the bridge was closed due to severe weather. We decided to reach closer to the point where we would turn off the highway and get onto an unpaved track to assess the situation. We spoke to some of the locals who were unsure about the condition of the bridge. After much contemplation and a tinto later, we decided it was safer to continue on the highway and mitigate any risk of getting stuck on day one. We powered on and continued to chew up the distance towards our destination. Not even an hour in, we experienced a torrential downpour, which helped reinforce our decision of staying on the highway. Our next mission was to find a ferry crossing in a town called Ipe in order to cross the Magdalena River. This was trickier than expected as it did not show up on our navigation. Instead, we had to keep our eyes open for signages along the way. Once again, we found ourselves getting off the highway, following little handwritten signages towards the ferry port. And sure enough, there she was, the Magdalena, in all its glory. The water level was high and the current was strong, but luckily for us, the ferry was operational. After a short wait, it was time to board. Getting on board was an experience in itself, with literally everybody around feeling the need to get involved, giving me directions to safely back up. And yes, all this was happening in Spanish. But we made it. Once all the cars were loaded and secure, we were off. This was the first time ever I had taken my vehicle on a ferry, and it sure was a fun experience. After the short ride across, it was time to roll out. We thought getting to the ferry was a challenge, but the other end was a totally different story. The trail had a higher level of elevation changes, and the rain had soaked the ground, making some patches a bit slippery. But nothing our little Prado couldn't handle. We powered through the trail and reached Villa Vieja, a little town located in the north of the department of Huila. This would be our home for the night, and the perfect spot for us to top off on fuel, water, and any other supplies we might need before heading out into the desert the next day. Villa Vieja is the last sign of civilization before the desert takes over. It could be considered as the gateway into the Tatacoa.
And then just screw it on.
Before heading in, we decided to air down the tires. Less pressure means better traction, essential when driving on soft, muddy, and uneven terrain. It also helps soften up the ride, which would allow us to be more comfortable off-road. We set out, hoping to explore this mystical land.
A little add-on also helps in making this smoother, the ride. Less bounce.
The desert visually looks wide open, no traffic and barely any signs. But you can't take it lightly, especially with all the rain the area had seen in the past days. One wrong move could mean the end of our adventure before it really began. So we decided to ease into it. Cautious, but excited.
Rickshaw? No fucking way.
Seeing the locals traversing these conditions in a little three-wheeler definitely gave us the encouragement and confidence to venture deeper in. Our plan was to find camp closer to the Red Desert and decided to explore the northern part of the Constellation Loop. The Constellation Loop is a trail that winds through the dramatic rock formations of the Grey Desert and parts of the Red Desert. The loop is named after the astronomical significance of the Tatacoa, which is one of the best places in the world for stargazing, due to minimal light pollution and clear skies. Every trip has a feeling to it: curiosity, excitement, maybe even nervousness. But the key is to embrace it. Overlanding isn't just about rushing to the destination. It's about everything in between: the people, the landscapes, and the unexpected moments. Our desert adventure had truly begun.
Buenos dias. ¿Cómo está?
As you head deeper into the desert, the scenery slowly changes. The lush greens of the mountains start fading, and the air grows warmer and drier. Things start to feel different, quieter, slower, and more connected to nature. The Tatacoa Desert is not actually a desert. It's a dry tropical forest that has transformed over time into an arid, otherworldly landscape. Located in Huila, Colombia, it spans approximately 330 square kilometers and is known for its surreal red and grey rock formations, intense heat, and some of the clearest night skies in South America. Despite the harsh conditions, the Tatacoa is home to a surprising amount of life. Cacti dominate the landscape, including species that can grow over 4 meters tall. A species that has adapted to survive the extreme heat, dryness, and occasional rainfall. These cacti are more than just desert plants. They are survival specialists, playing a vital role in the Tatacoa's fragile ecosystem. The area is also home to some drought-resistant shrubs that provide greenery and shelter for the birds and wildlife. One of the most surprising aspects of driving through the desert was the surface itself. It seemed to keep changing every few kilometers. Mud, gravel, rock, sand, and everything in between made the drive even more exciting and kept us alert. This was the first time we had ventured out to such a remote location with our Prado. It felt like the perfect opportunity for us to test the four-wheel drive system and understand how our setup behaved on different surfaces and terrain. Driving off-road is like reading a book. Not just any book, but one where the terrain tells a story and your vehicle is the translator. If you pay attention, your vehicle speaks to you. A sudden loss of traction? that's the book warning you of an upcoming plot twist. Time to adjust, ease off the throttle, and reset. Maybe a shift in body roll? The terrain is telling you to slow down and respect the contours of the land. And when everything flows, when the tires grip, the suspension works in harmony, and the engine hums at the perfect revs, that's when the story and reader are truly in sync. One of the features of the Constellation Loop was a river crossing, which feels almost surreal in the middle of this vast, dry expanse. The seasonal rains carve out temporary streams and muddy crossings, which have been known to catch people out. The surface might look calm, but underneath could be soft mud, loose rocks, or hidden drop offs waiting to spring a surprise on us. Luckily for us, this part of the desert had not seen much rain. We would go on to cross this stream a further 6 times, each crossing with its own characteristic and challenge. Just another reminder that in the desert, you never really know what's coming next. We had successfully conquered the northern loop, and it was finally time to head towards camp. After a day of exploring, there's nothing like setting up camp in a place like this. The desert has a way of making you slow down and appreciate the simple things. We sat back and reflected on this amazing day we had as we watched the sun dip below the horizon, brimmed with excitement for what the next day had in store for us. Mornings in the desert have their own kind of magic. We were lucky to have a relatively clear day, and let me tell you, there's nothing like sipping a cup of coffee in this kind of peace and quiet. It's the perfect way to start a new day of adventure. Our target for the day was to head to Cusco, the Red Desert. Entering the Red Desert of Cusco feels like stepping onto another planet. Towering rust-colored ridges, deep gullies, and narrow winding paths create a natural labyrinth, one where the silence is only broken by the wind. It's beautiful, but also disorienting. The deeper you go, the easier it is to lose your sense of direction. Every turn looks like the last, and every canyon seems to close in around you. This is a place that demands respect. It is a natural maze of eroded clay formations sculpted over thousands of years by wind and rare but powerful rains. Unlike the Grey Desert to the north, Cusco is rich in iron oxide, giving the earth its deep red hues. These formations, constantly shifting and evolving, make the landscape one of the most unique and fragile ecosystems in Colombia. Walking through Cusco is like tracing the veins of the earth itself. Every path winds, splits, and reconnects. There are no clear markers or signs pointing the way, just sun-baked walls rising on all sides. Out here, the best advice? Slow down, pay attention, and never underestimate the desert's ability to turn you around. Because in a place like this, getting lost isn't just possible, it's almost expected. Armed with limited water and with the sun directly above us, we were lost as well. Staying calm and not panicking was the key to finding the way out. Some believe spirits guard this land, ensuring that only those who respect it make it out. As we made our way back to camp, we couldn't help ourselves but think about what we had experienced in these past few days. The Tatacoa Desert is a place that stays with you long after you leave. Its silence and tranquility in spite of the harsh conditions. Its raw and unfiltered beauty. Life here is not easy, yet it persists. Its vast, breathtaking landscapes and epic campsites. To stand here surrounded by rock formations shaped over millennia is to feel small in the best way possible. To be here is to disconnect from the relentless pace of the outside world. You're reminded of something we often forget: how vast, how old, and how powerful the earth truly is. After a few days under the burning sun of the Tatacoa Desert, we pack up camp and point the Prado south. Dusty boots, full hearts, and the smell of the desert still clinging to our gear. There's a quiet satisfaction in leaving a place like this. Not because you're done with it, but because it's left something with you. But our journey isn't over, not even close. On the next leg of our expedition, the idea is to learn and discover as much as possible of the lost civilization of San Agustin. Leaving the desert isn't just a change in landscape, it's a change in mindset. In the Tatacoa, everything is stripped down, raw, minimal. The heat presses you into stillness, into silence. You learn to conserve energy, to observe, and to surrender to the vastness. The drive from Tatacoa to San Agustin is no small feat. A 270-kilometer haul on roads that twist, climb, hug ridge lines, and dip into river valleys. It's a proper overland adventure. As we begin to climb into the mountains, something shifts. The desert heat gives way to mountain air. The greens return. The mind begins to open again, from survival to curiosity. Colombia reveals another side of itself, lush and wild. We're heading into the Andes, where myths are carved in stone. On the way to San Agustin, we rolled into Gigante, a small town nestled in the green folds of Huila, almost midway between the desert and our destination, and the ideal spot for us to spend the night. The name itself comes from a legend of a giant who once roamed these hills. Some say his spirit still watches over the town, protecting the fertile valleys and their people. Others believe the nearby mountains hide ancient secrets left behind by pre-Columbian civilizations. In the heart of Gigante once stood the Ceiba de la Libertad, a monumental ceiba tree believed to have been planted around 1850 as a symbol commemorating the abolition of slavery in Colombia, and is deeply rooted in the town's history and culture. This magnificent tree, sadly, collapsed in 2021 after standing tall for more than 170 years. The site where the Ceiba once stood still remains a place of reflection for the community. Efforts continue to ensure that the spirit and historical significance of this iconic tree endure in Gigante's cultural narrative. We didn't stay long, but there's something about Gigante. It's the kind of place that still feels rooted. Old buildings, warm faces, and coffee so strong it could almost power the Land Cruiser. As we left the town of Gigante, the road twists and rises, and if you know where to look, you'll see him, lying across the horizon, carved by wind and time. Matambo, the sleeping giant. Locals say the mountain is his body. Some call him a protector, while others say he was punished, turned to stone by ancient gods. Whatever the truth, there's something powerful in the way the land holds this story. The mountain doesn't just rise, it watches. And as you drive beneath his gaze, you feel it. Leaving Gigante behind, we merge onto the Ruta 45, one of Colombia's lifelines. At first, it's smooth and fast, slicing through valleys dotted with coffee fincas and banana groves. The kind of road where we can stretch the cruiser's legs. We rise through a series of tight switchbacks, climbing into the Andean foothills, past tiny villages. This road is more like a passage, one that carries you from the legends of giants to the stone carved mysteries of San Agustin. It's not a road you rush, but one you savor. The kind that asks something of you, but gives even more in return. By the time San Agustin appears, hidden between the folds of misty green, you don't feel like a tourist arriving, but more like a traveler who's earned it. We found a quiet place to set up camp just outside town, secluded from the buzz of the town. No rush, no noise, just the sound of nature exhaling. We took our time setting up camp, a small tarp overhead, and our tent and sleeping system. Moving slow, letting the stillness seep in. After a long drive, there's something sacred about the silence. No maps, no schedules, just the rhythm of the wind on canvas and the low rumble of thunder rolling off distant peaks. We sat back, not needing to say much, the kind of tired that feels good. Tonight is about taking a pause and just listen. Tomorrow, we step into mystery. Morning breaks gently. Clean air, glistening leaves, and the soft rustle of trees waking up. We pack up slow, savoring the stillness. But beneath the calm, there's a quiet excitement building. Because today, we enter the realm of the lost civilization. The San Agustin Archaeological Park isn't just ruins, it's one of the greatest mysteries in the Americas. A place where ancient cultures carved gods, warriors, and spirits into stone, then vanished without a trace. We're not just visitors here, we're stepping into a story thousands of years old, one that still refuses to give up all its secrets. Time to see what the stones remember. The path winds through lush hills. You don't feel like you're entering a ruin. You feel like you're being quietly invited into a sacred forest. And then they begin to appear. Stone figures, dozens of them. Faces carved with jaguar teeth, bird's eyes, and serpent bodies. Guardians, standing silently for over 1,000 years, watching, waiting. We were lucky enough to find an experienced and, more importantly, a multilingual guide who helped us delve into some of the finer details of the various sculptures and their symbolism. It was fascinating to see these figures.
Because it was in Egypt to the sons of the pharaohs that they wouldn't know, and I make the pictures.
Some towering and fierce, warriors or deities, arms crossed, eyes wide. Others are gentle, almost playful. A monkey, a wise owl, a childlike figure holding an offering.
Is it called the Quetzalcoatl symbol?
You walk slowly here. You stop thinking about the when and the how, and you start wondering about the why. What did these people really believe? What did they fear? The culture that made them disappeared long before the Spanish arrived, leaving behind only these sentinels of stone and silence.
Very tries 130 kilometers by the east.
What surprised us the most was the fact that it is believed only about 10% of these sculptures have been excavated and discovered. Who knows what else might be unearthed in the years to come?
body of the snake with the two heads. Human head on front and head.
As we sat by the fire that night, we came to a realization. The real wonder of San Agustin isn't just in the stones themselves, it's what they remind us of. Across the world, in places like India and Egypt, ancient hands carved similar symbols: gods with animal faces, burial sites aligned to the stars, mythologies etched in stone. They never met, they never shared maps or language, and yet they dreamed in the same shapes, as if something deeper connected them, a common thread of wonder, fear, and reverence for the unknown. Proof, perhaps, that long before borders, humanity was already speaking to itself in stone. After an epic week, it was time to prepare for the long drive back home. Some much needed starter fluid and the breakfast of champions. We were ready to hit the road. The road back to Bogota always feels different. Familiar turns now carry memories, and every ridge and valley seems to echo with moments we just lived. We pass back through landscapes we once approached with curiosity, now with quiet reverence. The excitement of the unknown has settled into something deeper. The kind of calm that only comes after being stretched, tested, and changed by the roads. There's dirt in the creases of our boots, sun in the cracks of our skin, and stories packed between the gear in the rig. But more than that, there's a shift inside. A quiet evolution that only travel can bring. As the altitude rises and the city appears on the horizon, we don't just feel tired, we feel full. Full of perspective and awe. The kind of full that leaves you craving not rest, but for more. And that's the magic of traveling this way. You're not just going to a destination, you're living the terrain one curve at a time.